Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have another Vario watch for you. You may remember that I have featured this brand once before on the channel. Basically, they're a Singapore-based micro brand, and they do produce some really cool looking watches and straps. This particular type of watch is a dress watch, and some key common characteristics and design language when you're looking for a dress watch. Of course, you want something that's clean, classic, has more of a minimalist design, and is of course sensibly sized, which this particular piece definitely fires on all cylinders in those respects. This is of course the Empire watch from Vario, and this is really just an Art Deco inspired kind of 30s style watch, and I think they really nailed it on this one. This is quite a handsome piece. Now, I don't have the pricing on this yet because it actually hasn't been released. This is more of a preview than a review. But with that said, let's go ahead and take a closer look. Alrighty. Now, let's go ahead and kind of get a nice close look at this beautifully detailed dial, this great case with these cool contours and steps and kind of mixture and brushing and polishing. Really quite nice. Now, a bit about these specs. Of course, this is 38 millimeters in diameter. It has an 11 millimeter height, a 46 millimeter lug to lug width there, basically from the top to the bottom. And then it is, of course, made out of stainless steel. Now, the crystal is a flat sapphire with inner AR coating, which I think it does a pretty darn good job here. And then the nice thing is it actually doesn't have too much of a blue hue. Of course, it's going to look super reflective because that's the studio light, but generally wearing this in actual use, I think it really does a fine job, especially considering how pale this silver dial is and how it really just wants to catch the light, especially with all of the little contours all over it and the little etchings everywhere. Just really a nice sight to behold there. Now, as far as the bezel, it does have this great stepped bezel there, which is really nice. Drilled lugs. It has an onion style crown, so it's not signed, but it's definitely a nice minimalist look, which I really enjoy. Now, inside, which a nice update is, you can see here, is they actually have a see-through case back. So you can actually see this really cool Miyota 6T33 hand-wound mechanical movement in action. So, get a couple winds in there. Oh, let me make sure I'm winding it the right way. So pretty cool, and then you can see there's some light etching. It's a small display window because it is kind of a smaller movement, but I think it looks really well. It looks really nice and works really well all together, giving you something kind of nice to look at, which I think is really cool. Now, a little bit about this particular movement. It actually is a 4 Hertz movement, which means it does have a nice smooth tick there, 8 ticks per second. It has a 40-hour power reserve, and the really only drawback is that it's non-hacking. But honestly, on a watch in this style, being hacked down to the split second is something that is probably not going to be huge on kind of the list of reasons why you would want to purchase a watch like this. So I think in this case it works. If I could critique something I'd like to improve, I think that would definitely be top of the list, because I'm just a hacking man. I mean, things that don't hack have really stopped me from getting really nice watches in the past. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Speedmaster Man on the Moon. No hacking seconds, me no likey. So, anyways, let's take a closer look at that dial. It is, of course, silver and engraved. We have these polished, heat-treated blued hands, so the blue is really quite rich, but very evenly coated, as you can see here. Even when I get some high reflection on it, you can see that it's not something where you got to worry about a coating or any kind of thick or thin spots. It really is just a really nice kind of flat, even blue all the way through with a nice metallic sheen. So that's really nice. And of course, the delicateness of these hands I really, really like. And then they are skeletonized as well. Again, just a lot of nice features that all kind of come together to make a really cool looking watch. Now, it doesn't have any loom, and it's only water resistant down to 5 atmospheres, but that's kind of what you would expect for something like this. The lugs are 20 millimeters, and the strap itself here is really nice. It actually is a 20 millimeter that tapers down to 16, and then there's also those cool Harris tweed straps that are Vario is really known for, that are going to be a 20 millimeter to 18 taper. So really gorgeous, but let's go ahead and get this on the wrist. Okay, as you can see on my 7¼ inch wrist, this thing wears super well, and I think 38 millimeters is a nice size, especially for something that is more on the dressy side, and then on a strap, and that nice dramatic taper down to 16 works perfectly. Guys, I gotta admit, this strap is insanely good. I'm blown away by the quality of this strap, but I guess I shouldn't be, considering that Vario is about just as known for their straps as they are for their watches. But this thing is so supple and nice. Like, I'm blown away. I mean, I have similar straps like this with the basically the whole Italian leather game, with that really nice texturing there. And man, these things can be very expensive. These can be $70, $80 straps, and I'm blown away that basically what comes on this watch, which clearly is going to be quite affordable whenever it is released, can actually come up with such a nice strap. I mean, I almost want to take it off wrist so you guys I can flex it around a little bit more and really highlight. But as you guys can see, wears on the wrist really nicely, just like you'd expect. And even on kind of when you get more arm in here, it doesn't really seem small. It more so just feels like the right size. A lot of that also has to do with the fact that this is the silver dial model. So it does definitely feel like a more expansive dial. But yeah, let's go ahead and just take a second to appreciate this strap. Now look here. Really even, really nicely done here with the stitching. But one of the things that's really cool is that this is just like a super soft underside, and this thing is just so pliable. It feels broken in. I'm just blown away. I mean, maybe because this is like a press model that's been floating around and everybody broke it in, but I've never felt I mean, even if this has been broken in by a couple of different reviewers beforehand, this thing is just so nice and soft. I'm blown away. I might just try to pick up a bunch of these straps in different colors to wear with other watches, and that's really how impressed I am. And even the crazy thing is, considering how thick these are, because I have had very thin kind of versions of this strap before that are really soft and pliable, of course, but it's because they're so thin. But here you get the thickness and the padding. It just feels so much more secure and more rugged and robust. It just is very confidence inspiring, which I really, really like. So although I don't, of course this watch doesn't have any loom, we can still do some low light transition just so you can kind of see the way that the light plays a bit with this dial when not under kind of direct studio lighting / direct sunlight. Alrighty, let's go ahead and hit the lights. Now, again, there's no loom here, but as you can see, the way that those kind of center texturing are, the way that the light catches them, it makes it like really illuminate in different ways. So it almost has kind of a moon face feature to it, kind of in that center radius versus the outer diameter, which has that really smooth, and I think again really ties in great with the Art Deco theme with the font type and everything. But you can also see that the finishing on here is actually quite good, because normally the hot studio lights do a great job of kind of washing out the finishing, but you can see here under the low light that it is actually quite crisp and handsomely done. And you even get a nice look at how deep the texturing is on that excellent leather strap. So really cool. Very, very impressed, I have to say. Really well done. And if this thing is anything like Vario's other releases, this is just going to be such an awesome bang per buck piece. And now also adding a really beautiful aesthetic to it that I think is definitely something you don't see every day. So, you know, closing thoughts. This is, of course, a vintage. It has those vintage-inspired good looks, combined with that modern build quality, while also kind of retaining the modest sizing, which you don't always get. Honestly, a lot of watches are still sized up. It's funny, we're starting to see sports watches shrink and dress watches grow. It's a crazy time right now in the watch industry. But as far as model variants go, of course there are various dial and and color options. Some of the hands are blued, sometimes they're not. And then some of the dials actually do have quite a bit of different texturing. I would say the same texturing, but just different color palette to make it more of a two-tone affair. So those models are out there, but I think this one, it looks absolutely stellar and is, I'd have to say probably one of the more versatile options, just because of how handsome everything kind of comes together. It feels very, very cohesive. Now, as far as comparable models go, it's tough because there's so many other kind of fashion brand offerings that are out there, especially even in this price range. But I think this is definitely a watch for a watch lover, and not just somebody who enjoys the design, right? So there's a lot of fashion watches that get by on a minimalist kind of Bauhaus, very stark design. I think the nice thing about micro brands like Vario are that they really bring kind of their own unique design aesthetic to things that can be very popularized. Obviously, this watch could have been a lot more simple, but they decided to do some really interesting things with the case, the crown, the dial, the bezel, and I think it all comes together. And then, of course, it even has drilled lugs, which is, I think, a really, really nice feature, especially since this thing is definitely going to be quite a strap monster. Bottom line, this is just a really great combo of style and value. So with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is this the type of watch that interests you? What else are you looking forward to seeing from this brand? I think they kind of have quite a bit of a standard going with their releases, and I'm really, really enjoying their design aesthetic, and I think as far as quality goes, what they're releasing is also very strong as well. So if you liked the video, please do hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.